So it's raining outside right now and it's pretty loud. I don't know if you guys can hear that, and I'm sorry if you guys can hear that. But on today's topic, why is 60 FPS the holy number on gaming? We're going to talk about that. So today's video is going to be the first video in a series I'm going to make, which is Quickbit, where it's just going to be a quick, short, to the point talk. And I'll try to make the maximum length of Quickbit to be 10 minutes max, because past that it's not short anymore, like it's not quick anymore past 10 minutes. And I'll try to not go overboard with the editing, with all the pictures and sliding transition and all, so I can pump out content at a faster rate. Alright then, 60 FPS. Why is this the number? Why is this amount of frame per second the most talked about and the desirable standard in a modern video game? So before we delve deeper on the topic, we need to know about frame rate. Frame rate is something that greatly impacts the look and feel of a video. After all, a video is pretty much a series of still images projected in rapid succession, and depending on the content on the said media, some amount of frame rate will be better than the other. And so we can say that 60 frames per second, although very desirable and a very enjoyable experience on a video game, as we all know, may not be the case on something like a movie. In fact, most movie is produced and displayed at either 24 frames per second or 30 frames per second to make it feel like it's more cinematic. So then, why don't video games set the same standard? Like, set it at 24 or 30 rather than 60 frames per second. Well, here's the thing. Most video games have a lot of actions and movement on the screen, especially if you're playing a first-person shooter game like Doom, Wolfenstein, or Call of Duty. Most of the movements are very fast-paced, and not only that, you need to transfer something called an input data for each button you press to move or do something on the video game. After all, it's a video game. You need to move, you need to control something. And lower frame rate will not only make the face-based action blurry, as it will need a lot of motion blur to smooth things out, there will also be a huge amount of input delay compared to a higher frame rate. While in a movie, you don't need to transfer any input. There is no such thing as input delay because you are not controlling anything. And they also have a lot of motion blur, like a ton of them, to smooth things out in a face-based scene. Not to mention the solid frame time in a movie. Here it is, frame time. Another important equation to all of this. Don't worry though, it's not that complicated. So for example, 30 frames per second have a frame time of 33.33 milliseconds, and movie deliver not only solid frame rate, which is 30 frames per second, they also deliver a solid frame time of 33.33 milliseconds from start to finish. And that is why there is no such thing as a stutter when you are watching a movie, unless your laptop is a total potato. While video games usually have a fluctuating frame time even when capped. So while 30 FPS on a movie will have a solid 33.33 millisecond of frame time, playing 30 FPS capped on a video game might have a frame time of 34, 32, 33, and it fluctuates frequently, making it less smooth of an experience than the one in a movie. But can actually be fixed on PC by using software such as Riva Tuner Statistic Server. There's a lot of tutorial out there on YouTube. I don't think I need to do it. Go check it out. It's easy, it's free, and it'll make your PC gaming experience better. So then, what have we learned so far? Input delay, frame time, motion blur. Whoa, yeah, lots of stuff. But to put it simply, here's the reason why 60 FPS is way better of an experience and why it is the standard that the video game industry have been pushing. I mean, next-gen console like the PlayStation 5 have been promoting how they are able to run great visuals at 60 FPS, and it is for a reason that they keep promoting it. More frame per second, in a short way to explain it, means less input delay, shorter frame time, and smoother video or visuals in general, making it, well, again, a way better experience. You don't need to put over-the-top motion blur or even motion blur at all when you are running the game at 60 frames per second. The game feels and looks completely smooth even without those motion effects, so you can get a really smooth gameplay without losing any detail due to the motion blur. For a quick example of all this, let me show you Forza Horizon 4 benchmark running on this 2 frame rate with and without motion blur. Check it out. So as you can see, there is a pretty massive difference between the two, and there is a reason why people desire 60 FPS. But let me just say this, playing at solid 30 FPS, of course it depends on the game, still is far from unplayable. It is still very playable, especially if you are running the game on console, as you are using a controller, where lower frame rate usually doesn't affect the experience that much compared if you're playing with a keyboard and mouse. Mouse movement will feel very slow when you're playing at a lower frame rate. And I feel like console games run better at 30 FPS compared to the PC. Like, developer usually add motion blur that is specifically made for 30 FPS on console, and for whatever reason they don't include that on the PC port because they think every PC are able to run their game on 60 FPS. Also again, frame time, the thing that I talked before, some developer like Bungie, the developer of Destiny, optimized their game on console so that it ran in a solid frame time, while in the PC if you capped it, it still fluctuate up and down. But again, this is possible to achieve on PC using external software like RefaTuner Statistic Server. Okay then, now we know how smooth 60 FPS is compared to 30 FPS. Why is the standard not set on 75 or 144 FPS, right? Like, let's go high end here. Like, why do we stop at 60? Well, let's just say, if you ever come from 30 frames per second and then you jump to 60 frames per second. So let's just say like, in the past you have a PlayStation 3 and then now you are buying a gaming PC that is able to run game at 60 frames per second. When you experience that 60 frames per second, you would feel a massive difference. Like, it would feel like yin and yang, literally. Like 30 would feel so slow and even sometimes irritating to come back into, especially with games that have horrible motion blur to help the lower frame rate. But when you jump from 60 to, let's just say, 144 frames per second, yes, there is still a massive difference, but it's still somewhat more negligible. 144 frames per second is a frame rate that would massively help you only on competitive games such as CSGO, Call of Duty, Battlefield, Fortnite, Apex Legends, PUBG, etc. But I don't think it's necessary to enjoy story-based single-player games like, let's just say, Tomb Raider. 60 FPS is simply the sweet spot where you can enjoy that smooth gaming experience without needing to break the bank compared to like 144 frames per second. I mean, if you are going to enjoy 144 frames per second, you not only need a beefy gaming PC, you will also need, well, a high refresh rate monitor, as running 144 frames per second in a 60Hz monitor is pointless, but that is another topic for another day. Hence, it is the golden number and the most mentioned number ever in the gaming community. 60 FPS is the sweet spot. So I think that is it for the video today. It is just a short, quick talk, and I really like doing this style of video because I can just talk about anything related to gaming. But yeah, are you the type of person who have a strict minimal on frame rate when you play games, like you don't want it to dip below 60? Or are you more of those person that is fine with any frame per second as long as you can play the game? Let me know in the comment section down below. Make sure you subscribe and ring the bell if you want more. Press like if you like the video, dislike it if you don't, and I'll see you guys on the next talk. Goodbye.
If I could take you up in paradise up above, if you would tell me I'm the only one that you love, life could be a dream, sweetheart. Hello.